Coming up next on the Jeff Crilley Show, we could all use a boost when it comes to confidence. You're going to hear from a nationally known speaker who's going to teach us all how to ditch our inner critic. Her journey just ahead.
Many are predicting that the worst is yet to come, which is unfortunate, said one person here. Until now, they've enjoyed the reputation of being the nation's icebox.
Watched a burglar in his home this morning by webcam.
As a journalist of over 25 years, stories are what make my world turn.
Reporting live from the Dallas newsroom tonight, Jeff Crilley, Fox 4 News.
But in 2008, I took the jump from my familiar life and started a PR firm from my home.
We're talking about anyone with a camcorder like the one I'm using becomes a television network.
We started slowly growing the company, and we now have over 100 clients, and we've branched into the world of live digital broadcasting. I now own 8 different TV studios and have a huge team. And the stories that I now get to share are sometimes the most important of my life. Life has a funny way of coming around full circle. This is the Jeff Crilley Show.
Well, I don't know about you, but there are days I wake up and I'm feeling like I can just kill it. I'm on top of the world, and there are other days that self-doubt creeps in. As we speak right now, Zeke Elliott is being released from the Cowboys. Think about that. Even a guy who's been at the top of his game probably has self-doubt right now. He could use a dose of our next speaker and guest, Meshell Baker. She is the Chief Confidence Igniter. Welcome to the show.
Well, thank you for having me, Jeff. This is going to be fun.
Yes. So let's use Zeke Elliott as an example. Here's a guy who rushed at the top of the game. He was a rookie of the year. He was leading the league, and then every year since he just went down a little bit. And today the Cowboys released him. He's got to be battling self-confidence issues today.
Absolutely. The interesting thing that you started with saying that he's been at the top of his game for years, and what happens with anyone at the top of their game, you can't stay there forever. Right? There is going to be a point where you are going to trip, you're going to fall, and then you're going to need to just move to the side for someone else to be at the top of their game. So how do you deal with that? What are you telling yourself? And that's always how people have had careers where I think of Shaq, for example, who now is out helping people to build lifestyles and businesses and really talking about the journey for being an entrepreneur and making wise decisions in your youth, right? He transitioned from being at the top of his game and then now is at the top of another game.
Yes. I want to show some video of you speaking because you're a very popular speaker. Tell us some of the topics that you speak about these days.
Oh, God. My absolute favorite topic is unleashing your unstoppable confidence. And that has been for, I'd say, the last 2 years, my #1 most requested. So it morphs into unleashing your unstoppable sales confidence or superpowers, leadership confidence or superpowers. And what has become popular recently is ditch the imposter syndrome, and that is around the same topic, and it's more specific to women, especially in male-dominated industries. So I just recently did a conference for auto care. I did one for the trucking. I've spoken and worked with women at transportation and UPS. Recently, I was just hired by a group of women who are in lawyers in private firms where they tend to be very male-dominated.
Okay, let's talk a little bit more about imposter syndrome. What does that mean to you?
So I personally, in all the reading and research I've done, have found that we're all an imposter, right? So especially when you're a high performer, you're on a quest to become something. You're on a quest to acquire or achieve something. And it's that target of acquisition, that journey where you may, you don't necessarily see it, right? It's like the shore is off in the distance and you're dog paddling. And that's the part where most people have a tendency to not feel like they're adequate, that they have enough, that they need to learn more. And it's that second guessing and doubting of your actual abilities that is the imposter.
Sure. We've got some, we want to pull up your YouTube page because I'm just so impressed with all, you're so prolific. I mean, you are cranking out videos right and left. Talk about some of the things you talk about and how do you come up with ideas for your tips?
Well, most of my tips come from questions that I get, especially when I'm on stage and I have the Q&A portion. People will ask me questions about How do I deal with the lack of time? How do I deal when I'm in a office environment where there's a lot of animosity? How do I get people to respect me? So I just kind of capture the questions and then I go and answer them.
Sure.
Because that's what I work with people to have the confidence to deal with those circumstances.
Let's talk about toxic people, because we all have toxic people in our lives, and if you hang around 9 toxic people, pretty soon you're number 10.
Well, yeah, absolutely. And it's so toxic people are a challenge. What I find is one of the most powerful elixirs for toxic people is to be positive. It repels them. Energy is what people don't understand. Our emotions are attracting people to us. So when you're a complainer, a whiner, you're a victim, you live in a state of unfair, and that you will continually attract people who have that same feelings,
Sure.
Which is the energy to you. So creating a life where despite the circumstances, you can still find the silver lining will start to repel them, because as they speak to you, as they interface with you,
Sure.
they will get frustrated.
And sometimes it's family members. I mean, you have a mom and dad who is every one of your successes. They look for some seed of
Yes.
defeat. We all know people like that.
Yes.
What do you do when it's a family member who's bringing you down?
Well, it's a family member. Sometimes you are in the same household and it's not necessarily something you can initially get away from. This is where it requires you to create a goal. So now you have a target of, when I can move on. If you're in high school or you're in college and you're living with your parents, for example, and you're watching this, your goal now is to create your own community of support. Where can you go on Facebook? Who can you call? What organizations do you belong to? Where are your mentors? This is where you hire coaches, because your ability to still stay positive, even in the midst of that, is your gift. The gift is not to get away. The gift is to maintain your state of confidence, joy, enthusiasm, and belief, regardless of the person or situation you're faced with.
Now, there are people watching this, right, say, well, it's easy for you. You were born confident. You show up to the world confident. Was there ever a time when you struggled with your own confidence?
No, I was raised in a household where I was made to believe that my intelligence was a bad thing. I was teased by my by my siblings and a parent, actually. Oh, you think you're so smart, like, to stop acting grown, right? So instead of my intelligence being fostered, it was held against me. So when I went places and I could see solutions, or I had ideas or questions, I had imposter in me, because I was terrified to open my mouth because of the conditioning that had a repercussion. So
Sure.
yeah, I was not raised to be who I am right now. This was honed, developed, and repeated and practiced over time.
Sure. I want to talk about Gen Z, and I don't mean to pick on Gen Z, but I do find that because so many parents put their kids in bubble wrap and didn't let them skin their knee, a lot of these Gen Zs kind of get out into the workplace and they have a setback, and suddenly their confidence is shattered.
Yes.
Are you finding that?
I'm finding that, and it's not just Gen Z. I think right now we have PTSD from our pandemic, and it's happening with a lot of people. Mm-hmm. A lot of people are utilizing, because we live in a world where people tend to like to blame the circumstance, like how unfair it is. We have so much of that being, put out front. So yeah, it's challenging. And I explain to people, you have a choice, right? If you want to be the victim of everything, just accept your life is going to be absolutely miserable. That's going to be absolutely miserable, because there's nothing in life that's fair. There is no fair. Right? So people who have amazing lives, they face amazing challenges and setbacks and difficulties and failures and naysayers and critics, and they get up and they dust off and they decide, I will still be amazing regardless.
Let's talk about the power of gratitude. I mean, I personally wake up and I thank God that I got another day on the planet, another day to get it right. I'm not going to be perfect. There was only one perfect person. Giving praise for another chance to dial in.
Yeah.
Talk about the power of
Gratitude is, it's a super duper power. Gratitude can change every circumstance in your life. If you're watching this right now, whatever you're troubled with, if you were able to sit and say thank you, because that which does not kill me makes me stronger, right? So generally, most of the challenges we're faced with are helping us to grow and develop into the thing that you keep saying you want. Right? I always said, like, I was raised in faith. They said, you want peace. Well, be careful what you ask for, because you're not going to acquire peace. You're going to acquire a situation or a person that is going to rock your world and demand that you be at peace to get through it. If you want wealth, people who want to be rich generally go broke and bankrupt multiple times before they understand to manage their money and understand that money's not real. It's actually something they create from who they are and their talents and their gifts, and they attract it to them. So what you're basically saying is gratitude allows you to learn the lesson so that you can reap the blessing. And this is Ayana Van Zant says it. It's life is a lesson or a blessing. Right? So once you learn the lesson, you get the blessing. So whatever you're going through, when you say thank you, it will unveil to you what the lesson is so you can be blessed and move on. Otherwise, you get to repeat.
That is so powerful. Okay, we got about 2 minutes left. I'm going to give you a chance to give a final thought, like 2 minutes of just preach. And your viewer is on that left camera right there.
Yeah, so I have this acronym for big dreams, because without big dreams, you do not create big faith. You do not create big resilience, big passion. When you dream big, it actually attracts people to you when you start to talk about what you're up to. And big is the belief. What do you believe in? Whatever you keep talking about, you keep bringing about. So if you say you want something and you're not talking about it, you're keeping a secret, you don't really want it. Discover what lights up your soul and follow that and talk about it to everyone who listens, and don't care what they say. Your goal is to foster and fuel the belief inside of you. I is imagination. Your imagination is either working for you or against you, making you see the circumstances and people are awful or awesome. Start to imagine everything is going to work in your favor, regardless of what you see, feel, hear, and think. Just imagine what it would be like if it works in your favor. Hold that emotion and keep moving forward. And G is gratitude. Say thank you, because when you have a belief and you begin to imagine, why wouldn't you be thankful that everything is working in your favor?
Wow. Can you come back every day? Every day at the same time. You are so inspiring. We're going to end with her website, which is MeshellBaker.com, just like it
That's
sounds.
it,
Right?
MeshellBaker.com.
Outstanding. Thanks so much for coming on the show.
Thank you so much for having me, Jeff. This is wonderful.
You bet. That's it for now. We'll see you next time.